Which teams will make the NFL playoffs in 2025? Welcome back to the BLV. It's another Colin Cowherd NFL reaction video. In this video, Colin gives his updated playoff teams, his standings, his division by division predictions for the 2025 NFL season. And as always, I'm here to play judge, jury, executioner. Is Colin right? Is Colin wrong? Does he need to adjust his thoughts and his picks? Of course, as always, don't be a jabroni. Gronk, spike the like button. Subscribe to the BLV for more Colin reactions just like this, and join me. Let me know in the comments. Do you agree or disagree with Colin's picks? Let's react. I have no idea what he's going to say, but I'm sure it'll be entertaining and interesting. I love making these videos. So let's see what Uncle Colin has for us today.
Okay, so I do this 4 times before the start of a season.
4 videos for us to react to.
When there's coaching changes and free agency's done, I give an NFL prediction. Then after the draft, yes, drafts matter, I make another prediction. Then after camp or during camps, I'll make a prediction. And then right before the season, the Thursday of the season, I make my final prediction. So I've got a lot of
fair enough
changes, but most at the bottom of divisions.
Okay.
So let's start with the AFC. So the easiest, I would bet my car on this one. Bills win it.
He would bet his car on this one. That's not fair. He probably has multiple cars, but okay.
Dominant quarterback, not close and well coached. Patriots, I've said this, they will be the Washington of the NFL. I predicted Washington and Denver would be the most improved teams. I'm predicting the Patriots will be the most improved team. Drake May actually has a coach, and they've made major upgrades O and D line.
Colin has never spoken truer words in his life. This is exactly how I have my AFC East for 2025. The Buffalo Bills not only are one of the best teams in the NFL and could win the Super Bowl, but they also have one of the 5 easiest schedules. You contrast that to Baltimore, Kansas City, the teams that are at the top of the AFC, and the Bills have a huge opportunity to get the number 1 seed this year, which might actually catapult them to a Super Bowl berth. So throwing that out there, I do believe the Bills are actually better, deeper, more talented than they've been the last 2 seasons. So this is their opportunity. I really don't see many holes. They improved their secondary. They improved the depth of their defensive line in the draft. So I'm excited for Josh Allen this season. Sean McDermott's biggest opportunity yet. If he doesn't get it done, I mean, they might have to move on. The New England Patriots, though, is obviously the conflicting one for a lot of people. There's some that will say, the Patriots, they just hate on the Patriots, so it doesn't matter what they do. Like, the Patriots will suck in their eyes without Tom Brady. There's some of those commenters out there, which I consistently get. But there's others that actually see the optimism because they rather believe in Drake May or Mike Vrabel. But if you're actually an NFL fan and you actually watched the Patriots last year and you actually looked at the improvements they've made, there's almost no way you can't look at the Patriots as at least a playoff threat. I'm not saying you have to pick the Patriots to make the playoffs. It's obviously a bold proclamation because New England won 4 games last year. But if you look at every area of importance on a football team, the Patriots got way drastically better. First of all, like he pointed out, the coaching staff, right? Going from Gerard Mayo, who didn't know what he was doing, to Mike Vrabel is a substantial jump. Perhaps the biggest jump that any coaching staff made all offseason. Going from a first-time play caller in Alex Van Pelt to one of the greatest play callers of all time, Josh McDaniels, is a drastic jump. And that doesn't even include the rest of the coaching staff, in which they totally enhanced across the board. One of my favorites I continuously bring up is Doug Marrone as the offensive line coach, because I think offensive line coach is extremely important. That was a huge importance to the Patriots dynasty, Dante Scarnecchia. Then you have Drake May just going from year 1 to year 2. And the fact that Drake May did not even play the first 4 or 5 or 6 games last year, which the Patriots could have picked up more victories because he was way better than Jacoby Brissett. Then you look at the offensive line. They improved at left tackle and right tackle, 2 substantial positions, right? Will Campbell, Morgan Moses, okay? And then you include the coaching on top of that. They added more explosion to their offense in the draft with Travion Henderson and Kyle Williams, obviously Stephon Diggs, and then they have all the extra secondary pieces. Kendrick Bourne, Demario Douglas, Hunter Henry, Ramondre Stevenson, still can ball as secondary playmakers, okay? Defensively, they could go from one of the worst defenses to one of the best because the previous season, they really dropped off due to coaching. Belichick left. They had very much the same roster and depth chart, and they just completely fell off because the coaching was so bad. But they added Carlton Davis to Christian Gonzalez. They added Marcus Epps to Jabril Peppers and Kyle Duggar. They added Robert Spillane, right? They added Milton Williams to Christian Barmore. They added Harold Landry. So they got drastically better on defense, in which I think they're going to be a top 10 unit. If you complement a top 10 unit with potentially a quarterback that could get to flirting with the top 10, that is a team that should be dangerous, especially with Mike Vrabel coaching them and the second easiest schedule in football. So I agree 100%. I know I've spent a lot of time on these Patriots, but it's the team that I think is going to cause the most controversy in the comments. So I want to clarify that for Colin, because I do believe the Patriots have a realistic chance of making the playoffs. I think Miami will dip this year, and I think Colin believes the same, and the Jets are going to be one of the worst teams in the league.
Dolphins aren't good. They're going backwards, but I'll take them over the Jets, where I don't like anything. All right, next up, the AFC
Okay, that was short and sweet, simple.
North. Right. Even if Aaron Rodgers shows up, they're not beating the Ravens or Bengals. Okay. Browns, I think.
I mean, I think some Steelers fans would look at it and say if they had Aaron Rodgers, if Aaron Rodgers was half decent, that would be an improvement over Russell Wilson and the quarterback play that they've had. And look at all the roster changes and the improvements they've made. So trying to play devil's advocate here for the Pittsburgh Steelers and their fan base, right? Like, they added DK Metcalf. They added Darius Slay. They added Derek Harmon. Like, they got a lot better across their roster, not just potentially maybe Aaron Rodgers being added. I will say, I think the Bengals, outside of maybe the 49ers, were like the unluckiest team in the NFL last year. So they should just improve based on that. But I also believe their defense is improved thanks to the defensive line reconstruction, perhaps the addition or subtraction of the defensive coordinator conversation. And then they also added some depth at linebacker, things like that. But they're going to have Joe Burrow at the helm, right? It's just hard to keep Joe Burrow under 11 wins on a consistent basis, no matter how bad his defense is. So they get a field goal here or a turnover there or a tip pass or a penalty here removed. Like, they're probably winning 11, 12 games last year, and that's when their defense was at an all-time low. So I could see the Ravens and Bengals for sure making the playoffs. That probably right now is my prediction. But the Steelers are certainly still in the conversation, and don't rule out Cleveland. If they can get some quality quarterback play, this is a very good roster, and they have a very good 1-2 combination in Stefanski and Schwartz. I wouldn't rule them out from a coaching perspective either. So I do think I agree with Colin here. The Steelers are obviously the wild card, with Mike Tomlin never seemingly having a losing season. But I just don't want to see another Steeler team that wins 9 or 10 games and gets obliterated in the first round of the playoffs. I'd rather pass on that conversation.
Think are looking for a quarterback, Arch Manning, in next year's draft. I like their GM, Andrew Berry, and Kevin Stefanski. Don't like ownership. I feel pretty good about this.
Okay. Yeah, I would also point out with the Ravens, I think that them and the Bills, like I said with Buffalo, they're situated very well for the AFC this year. Baltimore could be the best team in the AFC, though, from start to finish. And I wouldn't be surprised. They're even stronger from a roster perspective than last year. I think that the Green pick, the Mike Green pick in the second round and the Malachi Starks selection, those are going to be big for their defense.
AFC South, I'm going to make a change. I think the Texans win it going away, and the Titans are a wild card team.
What's the change?
I will take the Jaguars third, and I'll move the Colts down to fourth. I don't know who's playing quarterback for the Colts. My guess is Daniel Jones wins eventually. But the Jaguars, to their credit, got the best player in the draft in Travis Hunter.
Arguably. I think Abdul Carter's in that conversation.
He will make an impact.
I do agree, though. I think from like a singular move or like a singular draft move, the thing that changed my opinion more than any move in the draft was Travis Hunter to Jacksonville, just because of the multiplication that he adds to their offense. Because of Liam Cohen scheming things up, because of Brian Thomas, which they already have, adding Travis Hunter just makes them potentially like very dangerous and potent. So that's where, to me, I definitely agree that that player had a huge impact on my power rankings recently. So I'll just throw that out there. I don't agree with Tennessee. I think Tennessee is not that good. I don't think their coaching is that good. I don't think that their pass rush is very good. I don't think that their offensive line is great, but I do think it's improved. And I'm just not a fan of their receiving core. Like, I don't think that Cam Ward really has a lot to work with this season. I think they have one more rebuilding stage, one more off season to go before they're considered in the conversation for winning this division. I would put Jacksonville in second. I think with Trevor Lawrence, Liam Cohen, and with Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter. And then their defense, I don't think is very good, but I think they subtly improved in the secondary. The Colts, I would agree with last, although I wouldn't be surprised if they finish second either, because I think from a roster standpoint, they have the second best roster, but I would argue they easily have the fourth best quarterback, which is a difficult conversation and really difficult to judge and predict. So I think the Colts could easily win 8 games, but at the same time, I don't see a world where they actually make the playoffs, just because I think their quarterback conversation will be way too inconsistent. If Daniel Jones ends up playing, I mean, that's a big problem. So
They upgraded their offensive line significantly. So, again, it's not much, but I'll take the Jaguars third and the Colts fourth. And in the AFC West, I feel the same way. It's inches, not feet. I think the Chargers empowered their run game, and they're going to be a ball control offense with 2 great tackles, a great coach, a great quarterback, and 2 excellent running backs. They also upgraded at tight end. I think they're going to be not as much sizzle as you may want, but they're just going to ground teams. It'll be classic Jim Harbaugh in year 2. You will be looking at a team that is completely different than they were 2 years ago.
yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with the premise. I just feel like putting them above Kansas City, I'm not quite sure I'm there yet. I understand that the Chiefs are coming off a Super Bowl loss and the Super Bowl hangover is a real thing, but I think the Chiefs should have the better offense. I mean, they do have much better receivers, much better playmakers. I would still put Mahomes over Herbert despite his struggles recently. The O-line for the Chargers is definitely better, and you could argue the Chargers will have a better running game, but Andy Reid versus Greg Roman is a pretty drastic difference. And then defensively, the Chiefs were a better defense than the Chargers last year, and I think that they're probably in line this year. Like, the Chargers have a very bend but don't break style, and I really do like Minter and their defensive philosophy, but at the same time, I think the Chiefs, I love Spags. I just feel like in big games, he just knows how to game plan. Chris Jones is a stud. Trent McDuffie's a stud. Like, they just do a very good job mixing in their different stuff, blitzing, stopping the run when they need to stop the run, playing man when they need to play man, playing zone when they need to play zone. Feels like the Chargers, I'm a little concerned about their pass rush. I'm a little concerned about their interior defensive line. I do really think their young corners will step up, and I love their safeties and linebackers, but I'm not quite sure that the Chiefs have been passed by the Chargers yet. I just don't know if I have the difference makers on offense that they truly do need, and I think the Chiefs have more of those. And Kelsey can even step back and be like a secondary option, which is a big thing. And it's still Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo. I mean, yeah, Jim Harbaugh is a great coach, but he's not Andy Reid. I'm sorry. So I would still have the Chiefs first. That is pretty crazy. And then the Chargers, I would have second. I do agree that what they've done offensively with their offensive line, with Hampton and Harris, they're going to play some physical brand of football, which is going to complement their defense. And Herbert's probably going to be more of an efficiency passer rather than a volume passer, and that will help their receiving core and things like that. I would say the Broncos are going to be about the same as last year. I just think that they might miss out on the playoffs due to a very competitive AFC and the fact that they're in this division. Like, I could see them winning 9, 10, maybe even 11, but if they do win 11, then I feel like they're going to make the playoffs. But I kind of feel like it's going to be 9 or 10. And, Bo Nix year 2, that could go in a positive direction or that could kind of go in a negative direction depending on how teams adjust to him. And then defensively, they already played at the top of the league last year, so expecting improvement would be kind of crazy. And I don't know if they really did enough around Bo Nix offensively to truly give him those difference makers, although I do love Harvey as the running back. But yeah, the Broncos are like that 8th team, in my opinion, like 7th or 8th seed in the AFC. I think they're ahead of the Steelers, and they're probably going to be competing with the Chargers, the Bengals, the Patriots to make the playoffs. That's kind of where I see them. The Raiders, I feel like they're just a year away. They still have too many holes defensively, in my opinion.
Chiefs still win 10-11, maybe 12, but they finish second, Broncos and Raiders. Didn't love the Broncos draft.
I think realistically, the Chiefs win 11 or 12 games. They drop from 15, and that's why I think they'll get way worse in my video that I made. But at the same time, they're still going to make the playoffs. Like, that's not something I said.
So my AFC playoff predictions.
It's interesting that he has the Chiefs last. Is that the 7 seed? I don't know. Is the Patriots the 5 seed, or is that just what he's doing here?
Bills, Ravens, Texans, Chargers, Patriots, Bengals are new, and Chiefs. We go to the NFC.
Maybe he just put the new teams at the top, but regardless, that looks pretty good. I mean, honestly, that's probably the same thing that I have. I will be making a video for my new playoff predictions post-draft as well, and this is a good little compliment to it. So
NFC now, where I do have more changes. Eagles, Commanders going away. I'm going to put the Giants at 3rd and the Cowboys at 4th.
Oh, wow.
I thought the Giants actually got impact guys in the draft. I thought
for sure
Scatterboo, the running back, will.
That's the first guy you're going to bring up is Scatterboo. Out of all the players they drafted, you're going to bring up Scatterboo as the biggest impact player. I'll say this. I think Scatterboo might make Tyrone Tracy one of the most undervalued players in fantasy football next year. Tyrone Tracy is a dog. Don't discount Tracy, bro. He is a dog. The Giants, I mean, I respect it. Like, if you think Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston can do something, or even Jackson Dart, I don't know. But the Giants roster is pretty darn solid, and their coaching is decent enough under Dayball. I can respect that. I just think, like, Dak, compared to the quarterback conversation in New York, to me, that's a tough one to really buy into. And I think Dallas's defense is a little underrated. I think I'd still have Dallas ahead of the Giants. I'm not going to lie. The Commanders and the Eagles feels about right. I'm kind of not sure whether or not I think the Commanders are going to make the playoffs, but we'll hear his conversation.
Absolutely make an impact. And Abdul Carter, hate that he's asking for Lawrence Taylor's jersey, but he's going to be an impact guy. They've already got a good D-line. It'll be even better. Yeah. Cowboys hiring Brian Schottenheimer. Big mistake. Very Dak reliant. I go Cowboys in the cellar.
Okay.
Next up,
this is an interesting one. Vikings last. That's interesting. Bears second. That's also extremely interesting. I don't think I quite buy the Bears yet. I just feel like their schedule is way too difficult. I'm not a Caleb guy right now. He needs to really prove it to me. And I just feel like these other teams are so good and so much more reliable that I'm not sure I buy the first-year Bears with Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen. Like, I could see it. There's definitely a vision there. They're definitely a lot better than last year, no doubt about it, but I kind of feel like they're going to be an 8-9 win team rather than like a 10-11-12. But that's just my opinion. Lions feel like the safest pick to win their division. I will say they have the 3rd hardest schedule in the league. It's much more difficult than last year, and the Lions did lose a ton of coaches, which is concerning.
NFC North, I'm keeping it the same. I think the Bears eke into the playoffs. I think Jordan Love I like. I think they're worried about him. That's why I went a receiver in the first round. They're not quite sure they can trust Christian Watson's health. They're going to make this.
The Chiefs are worried about Mahomes, so they picked Worthy in the first round last year. Just saying that.
This Jordan Love thing works, so they had a couple of other needs defensively, and they went wide receiver again. Vikings will be a very good 4th-place team. I think letting Sam Darnold go, I think they may regret it.
I don't know. I kind of feel like Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores are just those dudes. Like, I think they're just going to take this team into something successful this year. They could miss the playoffs. I mean, JJ's a wild card there for sure. And you could kind of maybe argue that some of their additions are a little overrated due to the age. Like, Kelly gets injured a lot. Hargrave coming off an injury. Jonathan Allen coming off injuries. You could make an argument that the Vikings maybe had an overrated offseason. And maybe the quarterback inconsistency will lead them to being the 3rd or 4th place team in their division. But at the same time, on paper, their team is probably the strongest in the entire division, or at least right there on par with the Lions. They have a studly studly stacked roster.
All right, I have another change. I'm going to move Tampa from second to first to win their division.
Did he have Tampa in second? Oh, yeah, I think I was outraged by that. Yeah, I mean, Tampa is easily the best roster, and they easily have the best quarterback in this division. And they easily have the most weapons in this division. Like, there's almost nothing besides, like, just pure regression and age for reasons why you wouldn't pick the Bucs to win this division. Maybe you're, like, the biggest Michael Penix believer in the world or just a biased Falcons fan. But honestly, like, I don't think any Panthers fan or Saints fan is really believing that they're going to take the Bucs spot in the playoffs. Like, the Bucs are probably, like, the most disrespected team on a consistent basis. I do think they're a very solid playoff team. I'm not sure if they're a contender, but they're like right in that range.
I like their draft. I always like their drafts. I did not like the Atlanta Falcons draft, and I don't know what Michael Penix is.
Well, I mean, to be fair, though, the Falcons did add players that are going to help them. Like, you could say you didn't like their draft, but that's mostly based on them trading future assets. Like, they did add 2 first-round picks to their pass rush, which is what we wanted them to do. Right? Like, let's be realistic. And then the safeties, I like those picks. Like, I like Bowman. I like Watts. I think they could both play. I don't love Jalen Walker. I do like Pierce. But, you know, that's kind of my opinion. So I could see Jalen Walker being underwhelming. But at the same time, I'm like, they still did what we wanted them to do at the end of the day. So I don't know. If for this season, it could be beneficial. Maybe long term, it's not. The Panthers, I do think they're kind of sneaky, a sleeper team. The Saints, I think, will suck.
By the way, I thought Emeka Egbuka to that receiving core and that offense, he will be an 80-catch guy potentially as a rookie.
With what targets? Unless Chris Godwin gets hurt again, he's not getting 80 catches.
I think every GM I talked to, when I said, did anybody reach for Emeka, they're like, no. That guy could have been the 5th pick, and it's a smart pick. He will deliver day one. Bryce Young's improved.
Stupid, man.
Saints, they're done. And finally, yeah, you can see it.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Okay, this is where I totally disagree with this. Okay, so the Rams first, the Seahawks second, the Cardinals third, and the 49ers fourth. Now, I know that he loves Sam Darnold, but I would argue that the Seahawks easily have the worst offense in this division. Like, by a wide margin. Secondly, I can buy the Cardinals. The Rams have the toughest schedule in the division. This is actually a division with very easy schedules. The Niners have easily the easiest schedule in the league. And they really don't play anyone that's that good, like at all. And the Niners, if you told me they had the best offense in the division, I wouldn't be shocked at all. They also have Brock Purdy, who I would put ahead of Darnold and Kyler, and they have Kyle Shanahan. They also have a ton of studs. And last year's team was just ludicrously injured and just incredibly unlucky. Like, their opposing teams, I saw that they allowed a 94% field goal percentage, which is, like, outrageous. Like, just completely unlucky. Plus, I think Saleh really helps their defense. I really liked their draft. Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Trent Williams. I mean, they're going to be able to move the ball. Juwan Jennings. And then defensively, you still got Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, and I liked Mykel Williams. I think they're going to make the playoffs easily. I think the Rams and the Niners are going to be competing for the division. And I think the Seahawks and Cardinals will be competing for the 3rd place. And I think I have the Cardinals ahead of the Seahawks right now because I'm just not sold. I like the Seahawks defensively, but I'm not sold on Darnold in this offense, and I'm not sold on their offense in general. So I would put the Seahawks last. And that's my opinion right now. It might subtly change, but I'm believing in a San Francisco bounce back. Obviously, Colin is a hater. He's consistently a hater of this team. We'll see what he has to say.
I think the Rams are going to win it. I think Seattle's defense, I thought Seattle had the best draft in the NFL. I thought
Best draft in the NFL for their team right now, though? I mean, Jalen Milroe, I think, has incredible upside, but he's not seeing the field. You know, they drafted their 3rd safety or maybe their 2nd safety, and then they drafted a center or a guard. So I still think they have offensive line holes. I mean, I really like their draft, but I think it was more to do with the long-term prospects of the class potentially than it was for this year.
Arizona and Cleveland had the second best drafts. Arizona's defense is going to be a handful. Their offense is fine also. Marvin Harrison and Kyler Murray now go to a second year together.
I will say I'm concerned about Kyler. That's probably the reason I'm not all the way in on the Cardinals, along with Jonathan Gannon. I'm not a huge Jonathan Gannon guy, but like Kyler is just like, I feel like he's so up and down. He's so inconsistent. I need Kyler to do something this year.
That matters. I don't like what I see with the Niners. I did not like their draft at all. I think when you look at the Niners draft, I see Kyle Shanahan taking some reaches here to help him and not the future.
Huh? This just doesn't make any sense. He's saying that Kyle Shanahan made picks for the defense? Okay. To help him. Okay.
He wants to win now. I didn't like the Niners draft at all. I'm not saying they're a 5-win team, but I think Arizona can win 10 to 11 games. So my playoff picture in the NFC.
This will be a lot different from mine, for sure. I mean, Eagles, Lions, Bucks, Rams, Commanders, Bears, and Seahawks. I'm not quite there with the Bears, and I'm definitely not there with Seattle. I don't see enough consistency offensively. Commanders, I can buy that for sure. The Eagles, the Lions definitely feel pretty safe. The Bucks feel easily like the best team in their division. And the Rams, I think, can be a contender. But again, like the Rams do have the toughest schedule in their division. And they do have, I'll just say, Stafford is like, he's old. Like he's old. So, yeah, I don't hate this. I definitely agree a lot more with the AFC. I think we're pretty much in line in the AFC. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments. Those are Colin's updated predictions.
Eagles, Lions, Bucks, Rams, Commanders, Bears, Seahawks.
Thanks for watching. It's Mitch. Don't be a jabroni. Subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.